What's going on, YouTube? It's the Bushy Beard, and I'm back, and I'm bushier than ever. And right now, we are going to start learning about this Chad Daybell and Lori Valley Daybell in the murder charges that they have been charged with. This is a trial that is going to be starting. How do I get rid of this stupid banner? There we go. April 3rd, and I plan on live streaming it and kind of discussing it as we go along. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to follow along with me. And I'm going to have, different people on to kind of get different opinions about it and to see how that goes. I'm not big in the YouTube law community, so probably won't have any of the law people on from YouTube, but I think this is going to be an interesting one. So we're going to start just by kind of, this is an article from 2021 when he was, I guess, Chad was first indicted, and so was Lori. And then I also have the indictment here that we can go over, and then I have each of the definitions that were laid out by the legislature of Idaho about what each what the prosecution has to meet for each of these charges that they have laid. So we're going to work our way through that, and so I'm get this out of the way. Although I am a lawyer here in Florida, I am not your lawyer. Anything I say here should not be construed as legal advice, as every single case is different, and no two cases are alike. Just keep checking because it's been flashing off and on, and I don't want to have a messed up thing. So please do not take what I say as canon. If you need a lawyer, please hire your own and do not take any legal advice from me. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, a grand jury in Idaho on Tuesday indicted Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, and they were married. I don't think they're married anymore, Daybell, on murder charges in connection with the deaths of Vallow's two children, Tylee and JJ. From what I remember, Chad was married prior in October, I think 2019. His wife died, and then he was married to Lori Vallow in November, December of 2019, so he didn't wait long. Originally, they thought the wife's death was of natural causes, but things fell apart. So Daybell was also charged with murder in the case of his ex-wife, Tammy, who died in her sleep a few weeks before Daybell got remarried. Every person who has worked on this case is to be commended for their diligence and steadfast pursuit of justice for Tammy, Tylee, and JJ, Madison County Prosecutor Rob Wood said in a statement. The children's disappearance became national news after Daybell and Vallow abruptly left the area following questioning by police about the whereabouts of Tylee and JJ and about the recent death of Tammy Daybell. I don't know if I necessarily remember this being in the news, but it might be something that you guys remember. If you kind of remember the news coverage, you can leave a comment kind of saying your initial thoughts about everything and whatnot. So the children were last seen on different days in September 2019 and June 2020. Law enforcement found the remains of Tylee, 17, and JJ, 7, on Daybell's property in Fremont County. Tammy Daybell died in October 2019. So September 2019, the children were missing. October 2019, he got remarried after Tammy Daybell, his wife, died, and then got remarried in the following weeks. November of 2019 and June of 2020, they found the remains. So that's the timeline we have so far. CNN has reached out to the attorney for the Daybell and Vallow for responses to the new indictments. Chad Daybell and Vallow are both charged with first-degree murder of the children and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder against the 3 victims, according to the court documents. And again, we'll go through what all that means here in a second. Daybell and Vallow already were facing charges related to the destruction or hiding of evidence relating to the disappearance of the children. Arrest warrants were issued Tuesday for them and to be held without bail. The new indictments do not provide details on how authorities think Tammy, Tylee, and JJ were killed. The indictments cite that the couple's religious beliefs as a factor in the murder. The grand jury cites evidence that Daybell and Vallow spoke in text messages of Tammy Vallow being possessed by a spirit, and say Chad Daybell changed the life insurance coverage on Tammy just over a month before she died, increasing the death benefits to the maximum allowed. Daybell also is charged with insurance fraud, while Vallow is charged with grand theft for allegedly continuing to draw Social Security benefits for her children after their deaths. Daybell and Vallow were first charged in connection with the disappearance of the children in 2020 of June. Prosecutors said that the murder charges would have been presented to the grand jury sooner, but the case was delayed due to the pandemic. Both suspects appeared remotely in court Wednesday morning, but Vallow's hearing was continued at the request of her attorney, Mark Means. CNN has reached out to Means to find out why he asked the court to reschedule the hearing. Daybell was advised of his rights, and his arraignment was scheduled for June 9th of 2021 when this was published. So now that we have somewhat of a background, we can go ahead and jump into the indictment. I just want to make sure it's not fuzzy. So we got here Lindsay Blake, Robert Wood of the Office of the Fremont County Prosecuting Attorney. And so ISB, I think, is Idaho State bar number. So 720 or 7920 and 8229 for both of those. They are the prosecuting attorneys. We got the address here, telephone number. This is all public record. I would suggest not calling these numbers or sending any information to these people. But yes, that would be my suggestion. Again, not legal advice. I'm not giving anybody legal advice here. So we got the state of Idaho, which is always what's going to happen in criminal prosecutions, because people, or specific people, do not prosecute. It's always the state for criminal actions. And so we got the state of Idaho is the plaintiff here versus Chad Guy Daybell and Lori Noreen Vallow, a.k.a. Lori Noreen Daybell. Again, she was married at the time in 2019, so that's why they have the a.k.a. there. Chad and Lori are accused by the grand jury of Fremont County by the indictment as follows. I don't know how Idaho does it, but prosecutors usually have the right to bring charges themselves. They can write up a charge sheet and do it that way, or they can do it by, and this is how they do it in Florida. I don't know the procedures. Some in Florida have to be brought before a grand jury. I believe it's like murder cases, any kind of death penalty type cases will have to be brought through the grand jury. But other ones can just be done by charge sheets and don't need an indictment per se. Don't know how Idaho does theirs, but they went through indictment, which can be used as a mock trial of sorts. The way indictments work is only the prosecutor puts on evidence. Usually the defendants are not present. It's not something that legally you're not going to jail because of, or prison for the rest of your life because the grand jury came back. What it's saying is there was enough evidence to continue to proceed, that a grand jury, which is a secret. No one knows who's on the grand jury for this specific reason. Found that there's enough evidence that they believe a charge or a conviction would be upheld or would be found at a jury trial. So here we go. Count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception, a felony. So we got Idaho Code subsections 18-1701, which we have here, 1701. Criminal conspiracy defined: if two or more persons combine or conspire to commit any crime or offense prescribed by law of the state of Idaho, and one or more of such persons does an act to effect the objective of the combination or conspiracy, each shall be punished upon conviction in the same manner and to the same extent as provided under the laws of state of Idaho for the punishment of the crime or offense that each combined to commit. So let's break this down, right? So a conspiracy has to have two or more people. Without two more people, again, there are some laws in some states that a conspiracy can be between one person. And the reason for that is if somebody goes to an undercover cop or somebody who never has the intention to commit a crime but says, okay, we're going to commit it, and then goes to the cops to turn them in, they can still, that one person can be still charged with conspiracy even though the other person never meant to. So for this one, you have to have two or more people combine or conspire to commit any crime. So for instance, this one is conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. So if X goes to Y and says, you know what, X, or you know what, Y, I don't like your husband, let's go kill them. And Y says, you know what, I agree with you, my husband is despicable, let's go kill them. If Y really means it, and X really means it, that's two or more people coming together, having a meeting of the minds to do a illegal act, murder. So in this case, we have Lori and Chad. So Lori, I don't know the specifics. Lori can go to Chad and say, hey Chad, I don't like your wife. I think you should be with me. Let's kill her. And Chad goes, you know what? That's a fantastic idea. Again, none of this is how it went down. I don't know how it went down. I'm going to learn all about that as well with you guys during the trial. This is just an example. You know what? I agree. Don't like her. We should kill her and run off together. That in itself has this, meets this requirement. Two or more people combine or conspire to commit a crime. They've done that. Now, that's not all that the Idaho State Code requires. So we have that. And one or more of such persons does any act to effect the objective of the combination or conspiracy. What does that mean? So we got Chad, Lori, want to kill the wife. Don't like her for whatever reason, want her dead. Now, if Chad goes and buys a gun, comes back, or goes and buys a weapon of some sort, right? That is an act, an overt act to end, not to end, but to achieve the means. That means even though Lori has done nothing but say, yes, I think you're right, we should kill your wife, or I think we should kill your wife, or whatever it is, by Chad doing that, they can now be both charged with conspiracy to commit murder, right? Even though Lori, again, hasn't done necessarily anything to do anything, because Chad went and got the weapon, we have now an overt act to do it. And each shall be punishable under the conviction in the same manner in the same extent as provided under the law of the state of Idaho, which just means even though she didn't do anything, let's say he gets the weapon, he kills her. Lori never really did anything other than saying, hey, we should go, kill your ex-wife or kill your wife. Doesn't really do anything. Chad does everything. Lori can still be found guilty of first-degree murder because of the conspiracy and be punished, not found guilty of first-degree murder, but conspiracy to commit murder and be found guilty, and the punishment would be the same as murder. So that is what we have there. In furtherance, okay, so the defendant, Chad and Lori and Alex, who has died, and other co-conspirators, both known and unknown, on or between the dates of October 26, 2018, and continuing until January 15th, 2020, in the county of Madison, state of Ohio, Idaho, and elsewhere, including Fremont County, Idaho, and as part of a continuing criminal transaction in common scheme or plan in Madison and Fremont, Idaho, did willfully and knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to commit murder in the first degree of Tylee Ryan, and to commit grand theft by deception. The grand theft by deception, I think, is the continuing the Social Security benefits, even though they were dead. So this is for Tylee specifically. And so what is it saying? It's saying Chad, Lori, and Alex, who's now deceased, which is why Alex is not part of the indictment, all came together. So they all had a meeting of a mind. We're going to do this. So that's where the conspiracy came from. All right. Now the overt acts. Let's learn about that. In furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree of Tylee Ryan and grand theft by deception and to affect the objects thereof, one or more of the following overt acts were committed by one or more of the subjects of the conspiracy as part of continuing criminal transaction and common scheme or plan within Madison and Fremont counties or elsewhere in the state of Idaho. Now, it says as a part of a continuing criminal transaction and common scheme. Important. So let's say we have Lori, Chad. Lori says, you know what? We should go and off your wife. Chad says, okay, let's do it. Goes get a knife, goes, and then instead of offing his wife, kills Lori's husband. That's no longer a conspiracy, and Lori can't be charged with killing the husband because it's not part of the same transaction or scheme, right? Because originally the conspiracy was aimed at the wife of Chad instead of the husband of Lori. They're not the same. So they had a meeting of minds. We want to off the wife of Chad. Chad goes off and kills the husband of Lori. Different transaction, different scheme. Lori can't be held accountable for the death of her husband because he went off the tracks. Now there's some legal arguments to be made, but that's the general idea, right? That's the general idea of that. On or between October 26, 2018 and June 9th, 2020, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow did endorse and espouse religious beliefs for the purposes of encouraging and or justifying the homicide of Tylee Ryan. So they talked about their religious beliefs that would eventually lead to Tylee Ryan's death. I don't know if that would be enough by itself, but they have 7 points here, all of an accumulation probably to lead to being an overt act. On or about August 16, 2019, Lori did change the deposit of Tylee's Social Security benefits from Tylee Ryan's JP Morgan Chase account to deposit directly into her account. That's where we got a grand theft by deception, right? Tylee, her money that she gets from Social Security is now going into Lori's account instead of Tylee's. Not notifying Social Security that Tylee might be dead, is now getting her money instead. Oh, you know what? There are other ones we have to read here. I forgot. Sorry. 18403. Let's see. 403A. So we got 18403. All murder which is perpetrated by means of poison or laying in wait or torture when torture is inflicted with the intent to cause suffering, to execute vengeance, to extort something from the victim, or to satisfy some sadistic inclination, or which is perpetrated by any kind of willful, deliberate, and premeditated killing is murder of the first degree, right? So we have all of these things that could be considered murder of the first degree, right? All murders which are perpetrated by the means of poison. That's enough for it to be first degree murder. So if I poison somebody, that's first degree murder. Laying in wait, which means if I am outside of somebody's home waiting for them to be alone to kill them, that is first degree murder. Or torture. If I torture somebody before they die, that is enough for first degree murder. When torture is inflicted with the intent to cause suffering, to execute vengeance, to willfully extort something from the victim, or to satisfy some sadistic inclination. So in order for torture to be considered first degree murder, it has to go ahead and satisfy with the intent to cause suffering, to execute vengeance, or to extort something from someone, from the victim, or to satisfy some sadistic inclination. So if the torture was done for any of those reasons, it's enough to satisfy first degree murder. Or which is perpetrated by any kind of willful, deliberate, and premeditated killing is murder of the first degree. So willful has to be willful, which means many different things in many different jurisdictions, usually with the intent to kill, right? I am setting out to kill somebody because I want to kill them. Deliberate just means I'm purpose, and premeditated, which means I've thought about it, right? And usually when there's a conspiracy, there's some thought about it, right? Some planning that went into it. Again, all of this is kind of, dumbed down. There's a lot of legal definitions behind willful, deliberate, and premeditated. Could be hours. That's why people go to law school, right? But in essence is make a plan, want to kill, and does kill, right? That's first degree murder. All right. And then we have 182403. Okay. And that is 1. 182403, 1, theft. A person steals property and commits theft when, with intent to deprive another person of property, or to appropriate the same for himself or herself, or to a third person, he wrongfully takes, obtains, or withholds such property from the owner of that or thereof. In essence, here Lori changed the money from Tylee's account to her account, depriving Tylee of her rightful property, the Social Security checks. Or you can also say depriving the Social Security Administration of their money by taking the property. 2403 4A. All right. 2403. We go down to 4. A person commits theft when he knowingly receives, retains, conceals, obtains control over, possession, or disposes of stolen property, knowing the property to have been stolen, or under such circumstances as would reasonably induce him to believe that the property was stolen, and intends to deprive the owner permanently of the use or benefit of the property. This would be for Chad. Probably what they're saying is he knew or should have known that the money that was they were receiving from the Social Security benefits for the benefit of Tylee was being stolen from Tylee. And so that would probably be why he gets that charge. And then 182407 1B3. 2407 1B. All right, so grand theft. A person is guilty of grand theft when he or she commits a theft as defined in this chapter, and when the property consists of a check, draft, or order for the payment of money upon any bank, or a check, draft, or order account number, or a financial transaction card or financial transaction card account number as to those terms defined in section. Okay. We can go here real quick. Oh, okay. Well, okay. So, in other words, it's saying the property consists of a check, draft, or order for payment of money upon any bank or person. Here, this money was supposed to be going to Tylee. Instead, they took it for themselves. So, that is what that one is saying. All right. All right, on or about. Okay, so that is the conspiracy to commit grand theft by deception. On or about September 1st, 2019, Lori did move from Chandler, Arizona to Rexburg, Idaho with Alex Cox, Tylee Ryan, and Joshua Jackson Vallow, hereafter JJ Vallow. Okay, so at that point... Okay, so we have October 26, 2018 through 2020. They had these same religious beliefs. 2019, which is before she moved to Idaho, she changes Tylee's money from her account, or from Tylee's account to her account. Move in September, so a couple weeks later, moves from Chandler, Arizona to Rexburg, Idaho with Alex Cox, Tylee, and Joshua. Then on September 8th, which is about a week later, Chad Daybell Googled SSW Wind and Social Security W Wind and visited a website called What is the Definition of SSW Wind Direction? Don't know what that means. And I don't know if I want to look it up specifically, to be honest. Social Security wind direction. SSW wind direction. South. Maybe south by southwest wind direction. I don't think it... We're going to find out. SSW wind. Okay, so it's the definition of SSW wind is wind that's blowing from south-southwest. Okay, that's what I thought it might be. Not 100% sure why that's applicable, but we're about to find out. On or about September 9th, 2019, Alex Cox did go to 565 Pioneer Road, apartment 175, Rexburg, Idaho. On or between September 9th, 2019 and February 1st, 2020, Lori failed or refused to contact the Social Security Administration as required by law to inform the SSA of Tylee's death. Okay, so that's where we get the grand theft by deception. On or between September 25th, 2019 and January 2020, or 22nd, 2020, Lori did wrongfully continue to collect 5 monthly Social Security survivor benefits on behalf of Tylee. Okay, so 5 months of survivor benefits. I don't know. Again, some of this might make sense more when we get into the trial. Refused to contact Social Security as required by law to inform the Social Security. Okay. Social Security survivor checks. So she continued. Okay, so what we know now is originally Lori did not live in Idaho, but lived in Chandler, Arizona, and moved to Idaho. We know that shortly after, Chad Googled SSW wind and visited a website entitled "What is the definition of SSW wind direction?", which probably goes to the bearing of a body and which way the wind blows, possibly. Not sure, but that would seem logical, right? Just based off of the indictment. On or about September 9th, 2019, Alex Cox did go to this road. Don't know what that road is pertinent to. On or between September 9th, 2019 and February 1st, 2020, Lori failed to... Okay, so what we know is September 8th or September 9th, we see that that is probably when Tylee died, between the 8th and the 9th. And then she continued to collect the checks and did not tell them about Taylee's death. And then specifically 5 months of Social Security survivor benefits on behalf of Tylee. Continued to collect those. Count 2, we have first degree murder, a felony. Idaho Code 18-4001, which I think we already 4003. Okay, so I clicked out of the wrong one, I think. 4001. Idaho Code 18,001. All right. So this one is about what murder is. All right. Murder is defined. Murder is the unlawful killing of a human being, including but not limited to a human embryo or fetus, with malice, aforethought, or the intentional application of torture to a human being, which results in the death of a human being. Torture is the intentional infliction of extreme or prolonged pain with the intent to cause suffering. It shall also be torture to inflict on a human being extreme and prolonged acts of brutality, irrespective of proof of intent to cause suffering. The death of a human being caused by such torture is murder, irrespective of proof of specific intent to kill. So what they're saying here is, even if you didn't mean to kill somebody, if you inflict torture and they died, it doesn't matter. It's considered murder. Torture causing death shall be deemed the equivalent of intent to kill. There you go. All right. So we now know what that is. 18-4002, express and implied malice. What does that mean? It means such malice may be express or implied. It is express when there is manifested a deliberate intention unlawfully to take away the life of a fellow creature. And statutes always have the interesting wording, right? So express is when there manifested a deliberate intention. I come at you with a knife, deliberate intention, or I come at you with a knife yelling, I want to kill you. Deliberate intention to try to kill you, right? It is implied when no considerable provocation appears, or when the circumstances attending the killing show an abandoned and malignant heart. Malignant heart. Malignant. That's how you say it. Heart. Let's see. Implied when no considerable provocation appears, or when the circumstances attending the killing shows an abandoned or malignant heart. So, malignant heart. I think this is kind of important. Okay. Legal. Malice is implied when no considerable provocation appears, or when circumstances to abandon malice in a legal sense may be inferred from the evidence imputed to the defendant, depending on the nature of the case. All right. If a defendant commits some act that is reckless, um, and subjectively reckless, extremely dangerous, or indifferent to human life, the person acts reckless. So that's what malignant heart means. All right, we are back to 4002. All right, we went over that, and then we have the next one, which is 4003A. So 4000. Oh wait, we already went over. I think that 18. 4003. Okay, all murder which is perpetrated by the means of poison, or lying in wait, or torture, when torture is inflicted with the intent to cause suffering, to execute vengeance, or to extort something from the victim, or to satisfy some sadistic inclination, or which is perpetrated by any means of willful, deliberate, or premeditated killing, is murder of the first degree. So that's part of this one as well. And then 4004, which is here. Punishment for murder. Subject to the provisions of sections blah, 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 Idaho Code. Every person guilty of murder of the first degree shall be punished by death or by imprisonment for life, provided that a sentence of death shall not be imposed unless the prosecuting attorney filed written notice of the intent to seek the death penalty as required under the provisions of section 4004A, which we don't have here. So I don't, or do we? Don't have that here. Idaho Code, and provide further that whenever the death penalty is not imposed, the court shall impose a sentence. If a jury or the court, if a jury is waived, finds a statutory aggravating circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt, but finds that the imposition of death penalty would be unjust, the court shall impose a fixed life sentence. If a jury or the court, if a jury is waived, does not find a statutory aggravating circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt, or if the death penalty is not sought, the court shall impose a life sentence with a minimum period of confinement of not less than 10 years, during which a period of confinement the offender shall not be eligible for parole or discharge or credit or reduction of sentence for good behavior, except for meritorious service. Every person guilty of murder of the second degree is punishable by imprisonment not less than 10 years, and the imprisonment may extend to life. So what they're saying is you have to tell the people first, the defendant, that you are seeking the death penalty, and then in order to get the death penalty, you have to prove aggravating circumstances, which I think probably are listed somewhere. In this one, I think they did seek the death penalty for Lori, but they said the judge ruled that it's not allowed in this case. And we'll go over that at a later date. So here we go. And then if they do not find an aggravating circumstances beyond the reasonable doubt, then they have to serve at least 10 years. It's usually a life sentence, but minimum they have to serve before they're eligible for parole is 10 years. Parole's not automatic, so some people might not get it. Other people can get it, but that is the idea behind that. All right. The defendants, Chad and Lori, on or between the 8th and 9th of September, which I said earlier, in the county of Madison, state of Ohio, and as part of a common scheme or plan or continuing criminal transaction which is needed for conspiracy, which was the above one, commission of a first-degree murder, and did aid and abet in its commission, or not being present, advised and encouraged its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime, and did so with malice aforethought, and did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, which resulted in death of a human being, to wit. Right? So this is important, right? So it says, we're concerned in the commission of a first-degree murder, and did aid and abet in its commission. So they did help in the commission of the murder, or if they weren't present, they advised and encouraged. So another word for that is solicitation. So they sought after somebody They asked them to do it, and they continued to encourage them to do it. And so even if you're not present during the commission, you can be convicted of murder by solicitation. Maybe that's where this Alex person comes in. Maybe they're saying maybe Alex did it. This way they can't pin it on Alex and say it was Alex's idea. We weren't involved. They're now bringing everybody together. It was all one big conspiracy to do it. Or command and compelled another to commit the crime and did so with malice aforethought. We went over what malice did, and did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, which resulted in the death of a human being. Here, Tylee, right? To wit, did either kill Tylee Ryan and or assisted in the killing of Tylee Ryan and or did encourage the killing of Tylee Ryan and or did command another to kill Tylee in violation of the Idaho Section 401, the murder section for 18204. We didn't go over that one, I don't think. 204 principle defined all persons concerned in the commission of a crime, whether it to be a felony or misdemeanor, and whether they directly commit the act constituting the offense or aid and abet in its commission or not being present, have advised and encouraged. Okay, so this is just all making sure that they are the principal people behind the death of Tylee, or behind the murder of Tylee Ryan. All right, and then conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft. I'm sure this is for Joshua Jackson, J.J. Vallow. I'm sure all of this is going to be the same. Furtherance to conspiracy to commit murder, but I think we'll have a different... Okay, so here we go. This is different. And grand theft by deception, and to affect the objects thereof, one or more of the following overt acts were committed by one or more of the subjects of the conspiracy as part of a continuing criminal transaction and scheme, common scheme or plan within Madison and Fremont counties or elsewhere in the state of Idaho, my bad. October 26th and June 9th, Chad and Lori did endorse and teach religious beliefs for the purpose of justifying the homicide of J.J. Vallow. Okay. Endorse and teach. That's different than the ones above, right? Which was endorse and espouse. Okay, so interesting. It's different here. All right. On or about September 1st, Lori did move from Chandler, Arizona to Rexburg, Idaho with Alex, Tylee, and JJ. We knew that from the previous count. On or about September 23rd, 2019, Alex Cox did take possession of J.J. Vallow. Okay, so this is Alex Cox took possession of J.J. Vallow. Doesn't mean we don't know necessarily what that means, but we know that now, instead of in Lori's care, Alex has J.J. On or about November 26, 2019, Lori provided a false or misleading physical location of JJ to law enforcement during a lawful investigation. So possibly they said, we don't know where JJ is. Someone might have kidnapped him. And they gave misleading physical locations of JJ to the law enforcement during an investigation. On or between September 23rd, 2019 and February 1st, 2020, Lori failed or refused to contact Social Security SSA as required by law to inform the SSA of JJ's death. So they're thinking before September 23rd, so probably the 22nd, JJ died. And they did not contact SSA and continued probably to collect benefits. So we know that I think the 8th or the 9th of September, we have Tylee died. The 23rd, 22nd or 23rd, JJ died. On or between the dates of September 9th and February 1st, Lori Vallow did wrongfully continue to collect 4 months Social Security benefits. Okay. So similar to the one before, but a little bit different. And then the defendant, Chad and Lori, on or between the 22nd and 23rd of September 2019, in the county of Madison, state of Idaho, and as part of a common scheme or plan, again, conspiracy, between Madison and Fremont County, Idaho, was concerned in the commission of first-degree murder and did aid and abet. Again, all of this language is necessary to make sure that they keep all of them together and they can all be found guilty of murder. Was concerned in the commission of a first-degree murder and did aid and abet in its commission, or not being present, advise and encourage its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime and did so with malice aforethought and willful, deliberate, and premeditation, resulted in the death of a human being, to wit, J.J. Vallow, and or assisted in the killing of J.J. Vallow. In essence, the same thing as before, right? They did it with J.J. here. All right, and then this one's Tammy. Okay, so this one is interesting, right? The wife of Chad, which was Tammy Daybell, or Tamara Daybell. Okay, so the defendant, on or about October 1st to January 15th, 2020, and where else included, and this is conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. All right, as part of a continuing transaction. Okay, blah blah blah. In furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree of Tammy Daybell, and to effect the objects thereof, one or more of the following overt acts were committed by one or more of the subjects to the conspiracy as part of the continuing criminal transaction and common scheme or plan. Again, within these counties where it has to be because they have jurisdiction. On or between the dates of October 26, 2019, or 2018, and June 9th, 2020, Chad and Lori did encourage and espouse religious beliefs for the purposes of justifying and encouraging the homicide of Tammy Daybell. I think this is going to be interesting. I'm wondering more about the religious belief part of it. So I'm interested in that. On or about September 1st, 2019, Lori did move to Rexburg, Idaho with Alex, Tylee, and Joshua. Again, we know from Chandler, Arizona. Text messages between Chad and Lori regarding death percentages for Tammy and JJ, and messages on July 30th, 2019. Text messages between Chad and Lori regarding death percentages. Okay, interesting. Chad Daybell obtained a burner phone on September 18, 2019. Alex obtained a burner phone on October 9th, 2019. Text message between Chad and Lori about Tamara Daybell being in limbo and Tammy being possessed by a spirit named Viola. Okay, interesting. September 8th, 2019, Chad Guy Daybell signed applications along with Tammy Daybell to increase the life map insurance to the maximum allowed under her policy. Alex attempted to shoot Tamara Daybell on October 29, 2019. Okay, so we now know where Alex comes in. Probably a hired hitman of some sort. Alex conducted multiple internet searches between October 8th and October 12th, including searches related to Grindle drop and shooting through a Dodge Dakota. Okay, I don't know what a Grindle drop is, but Alex going to gun range in the months before October 9th, when the attempted shooting of Tamara Daybell takes place. Alex travels from Sportsman's Warehouse to the vicinity of the Daybell residence on October 9th, and Alex was in the church parking lot approximately 2.5 miles from the Daybell residence on the night of October 18th, 2019. All right, so this is to link Alex to the Daybells by saying traveled from the Sportsman Warehouse to the vicinity of the Daybell residence, which means probably close enough that he might be with them. That's something a jury's going to have to find. Was this all perpetrated in a conspiracy between Chad, Alex, and Lori to kill the wife? That's what they're going to have to decide. And they're going to use that by looking at all of this messaging, or all of these text messages, all of this other evidence of buying a burner phone, buying burner phones, and come up with, were they in it together to off the ex-wife, or the wife? All right. And we got another first degree murder here. The defendant, Chad, on or about October 18th through 19th, in the county, okay, was concerned in the commission of a first degree murder and did aid and abet in the commission. Okay. So we got an attempted kill here on the 18th, it looks like. But then maybe Chad finished it off, it looks like. Okay. Or maybe this is... Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that's the conspiracy. This is the actual charge of murder for Chad. And then grand theft felony that the defendant, Lori Vallow, on or between the dates of the X, did as a common scheme or plan, but I see, and with the intent to deprive another of property or to appropriate the same for herself or for a third person, wrongfully take, obtain, or withhold, or aid and abet another to take, obtain, or withhold property, to wit, Social Security survivor benefits allocated for Tylee and JJ from the Social Security child and care benefits allowed for Nori, and an amount exceeding $1,000, which said funds Lori was not entitled to, and which did belong to the government of the United States of America. They could go after her for federal charges for that. I don't know if the USA would do that, but that is a possibility. Insurance fraud, we got 41,293, which is a long one. Okay. Not going to read all of it. Sorry, guys. That's a little longer than... you can look that up, but that is the 49,203. There's not specific sections for that, so... But the defendant, Chad, this was the same thing, kind of, I would assume, but for the life insurance policy to be presented to a claimant statement to Primerica Life Insurance Company in violation of Idaho's code section. So, in essence, the same thing. So that's the indictment. This is a long video. I do apologize in advance. It might be a little dull. But I thought that would be kind of needed going forward. But yeah, so that's the first of many videos that's to come. This probably will be the driest part of it, but definitely a necessary part to kind of understand the legal aspect of what the state of Idaho is doing, right? So we got conspiracy to commit murder, the actual murder, so they can be charged with the actual murder instead of just conspiracy. And then also the conspiracy to commit grand theft between the Social Security Administration and also with the life insurance policy. And then we now know that we have Chad, Lori, and Alex. Alex seemed to be a hitman that was hired. Lori and Chad had these religious beliefs. We don't know what specific religious beliefs. And because of that, they killed Tylee, JJ, and the wife, which was Tammy. So we know that, and we know it happened between September 9th, 2019 and February 1st, 2020 is when everything took place. And we know that the death of Tylee was between the 8th and the 9th. Death of JJ was between the 22nd, September 22nd and 23rd. And then the last one, which was Tammy, was between October 18th and 19th, I want to say. Yeah, October 18th and 19th. So that's what we know so far. We're going to continue on and look at other news stuff in the next one. But without anything else, I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you liked it, please give it a like. If not, you don't have to. Let me know if you made it through the whole thing. Let me know down below. Anyways, without anything else, until next time, YouTube, smile like you mean it. From the Bushy Beard.